Hello and good afternoon. On behalf of H. Anderson Capital, I'd like to welcome you all to this presentation of the Q2 Half 1 2025 report from SKAKO, which was published last week. My name is Philip Coombs, and today I have the pleasure of welcoming SKAKO's CEO Lionel Giroux and CFO Thomas Pillesen. They will take us through the numbers today, and before I pass over to them, I'd like to quickly thank everyone for joining us and remind you that you can ask questions in the chat box below. So with that said, I'd like to pass over to Thomas.
Hello, everybody, and good afternoon. Also, a warm welcome here from SKAKO. And as normally, I will take the introduction and the agenda and the financial part, and then Lionel will take over and give us a deep dive on a part of our vibration business. And at the end, we will touch base on our guidance for the current year. Then at the beginning, we have this disclaimer due to the fact that we could end up mentioning something about forward-looking numbers and so on. And of course, they are based with some assumptions and also some uncertainties. The agenda, as I mentioned, is as follows here. And then the key figures, SKAKO at a glance. We are still one focused company in the vibration business. We have those three customer segments, which is minerals, recycling, and fasteners. 130 employees worldwide, headquartered in Faaborg, and then main offices in Strasbourg and San Sebastian in France and Spain. We have approximately 2,000 shareholders, hereof 95% in Denmark, and board of directors and management holds more than a third of the share capital. Then looking into the H1 report, here we have H1 25 in brief, and I would like to mention here that as you maybe also have written, then we are hit a little bit about the subdued market, which especially have hit us negative in the fastener segment in the northern of Europe. Even though that we have increased our revenue with approximately 13% to 139 million Danish kroner. And also we see an increasing order backlog at approximately 190 million Danish kroner. But we also see a decrease in our EBIT with 34% down to 6.7 million Danish kroner. Then if we jump into the profit and loss, then even though that we increased the revenue with 13%, then we realized a decline in our EBIT. Revenue increased due to the big increase in our mineral segment, driven by the two large projects for OCP in Morocco. As you maybe have realized, then in August last year, we reached two big orders in the mineral segment for more than 150 million Danish kroner, and those should be delivered in 25 and 26. The gross profit increased by 3.8% to 36.3 million, but the gross margin ratio actually declined with 2.2 pp. And that is, of course, due to the higher share of plant sales, which increased in this first half of the year with 20%, but the margin on plant sales is lower than on the after sales. And also we saw a decline in after sales with 5.2% to approximately 35 million Danish kroner. Then we have invested in sales people to reach a growth in recycling business. Also, we have invested in temporary capacity cost for the OCP projects in both France and Morocco, and that when the revenue actually is not coming 100% from the beginning of the year, impacts the capacity cost, and therefore we saw a decrease in our operating profit EBIT. The order backlog is still high, 190 million Danish kroner, and it is of course driven by a significant order backlog for the OCP, but we also saw an increase in order intake and order backlog for the remaining part of the business. So that is positive. Then if we look at the different segments, then of course, due to the big OCP order, we see an increase in the mineral segment, which we also saw in Q2, which was different than in Q1, was an increase again in our recycling revenue. So for the first half of the year, the revenue for recycling was actually a decrease, but it increased in the second quarter. Fastener is still struggling very much, and we saw an increase in the first half of the year at approximately 33%. What we also can see here is if we look at the three customer segments, then we can see that Fastener is in the first half of the year approximately 12 million out of 139 million Danish kroner. So the share from Fastener is below 10%. Then looking at the balance sheet and the key financial ratios, then we, as we have been always, we are an asset-light company. So most of our assets is actually non-current and short-term assets. We saw, even though an increase in our assets with 5.6%, that is mainly driven by higher cash in hands. We saw a decrease in net debt, and we also saw a decrease in our net working capital. That is driven by the huge prepayment that we received from the OCP projects, which more or less all the time during the project is cash flow positive. The cash flow from operating activities was positive with 27 million Danish kroner, compared to a negative cash flow in the same period last year at 23 million Danish kroner. Then on one of the numbers that we are looking into, then it is our net debt to EBITDA, 0.5 compared to our target of being below 2.5%. And that was what I would like to say about the financial figures. Then I will hand it over to Lionel to give us a little deep dive.
Yeah, thank you, Thomas. Good afternoon to everybody. Today I will introduce SKAKO to you, and I will share key reminders and updates on our strategy. And as Thomas said before, SKAKO Vibration work for three segments, three industrial segments. The first one is, and the most important in terms of revenue, is the mineral segment, with the revenue share which has increased for the last months, as Thomas said too, due to this two large order that we got in the second half year of 24 for the American customer OCP. And then we have the second historical segment, which is the fastener segment, for which the revenue share has decreased, is quite low due to the mix of revenue and these two orders coming from OCP. And the last segment is a recycling industry, and that's a segment that we have been developing for the last years in the group. We have still in the group 6 companies and 3 main companies, I would say, on the 6. The first one is in Denmark, in Faaborg. That's the mother company, and that's as well the expert center for the fastener segment. The second company is in France, in Strasbourg, close to Germany, and that's expert center for minerals. And the last one in San Sebastian in Spain, that's the expert center of the group for the recycling segment. What we do, we say that we develop and we design, we manufacture, and we sell machine for processing bulk product, and we are specialized on vibratory technology. We have a quite wide range of product, and we usually say that SKAKO vibration equipment move, separates, and cleans bulk materials. A short focus on the two historical segments. The first one is a mineral segment. This is an industry where we process minerals, bulk products like stone and ore and so on. And for us, this segment is split in three subsegments. The first one is a mining segment. For us, it means mainly customer out of Europe, especially in Africa, and customer and company which own a large mining site. The second subsegment is a construction sector, and it includes for us the quarries, the sand pits, cement plants, concrete plant, and all of this kind of industry. And the third one is iron and steel industry. And in this segment, our machines are used in the first part of the steel making process, where there are material like iron ore, coke, and these kind of things before the steel is made. The second segment for us is a fastener segment, and it's split in three subsegments as well. The first one is the automotive sector, and you know that this industry is experiencing and facing some challenge currently. The second one is the construction sector. So fastener industry is an industry where small metallic parts are made, like a screw, nuts, and washer. And for sure, we use that in the automotive sector, but also in the construction sector, screws are very used in this industry. And the last subsegment for us is ammunition. It's not. I would say it's a subsegment which has been developing for the last years. I would say, with an increased demand from our customer. And from a company which work in this segment. Recycling is the third segment. This is a segment, as I told you, that we have been developing for the last years. We do that by two ways. The first way is that we made the acquisition some years ago of the Spanish company Dartec, which became a SKAKO Dartec, and which had a very strong experience in processing of waste and all bulk material, of waste bulk material. And the second part comes from our own old, I would say, know-how from the mineral and fastener segment, and we use that to develop the business in the recycling segment. But I will come back on that a little bit later to give you some good example. What is important to know in the recycling segment is that the sorting technologies are keys in this industry. So the goal of all process, more or less, is to sort the different waste and the different material. And there is no competition between the different type of sorting technology. So our type of sorting equipment is complementary to other type of sorting equipment, like, I don't know, something like optical sorter and so on. You cannot have an optical sorter without having before a screen or to have sort by dimension the bulk material. So that's very important to know. And we propose 4 functions for this industry. The first function is sorting by dimension. We call that screening. So we separate the material by different size. And then the second function that we propose is a sorting by density or difference of density. For instance, it could be very useful if one wants to make the recycling of electrical wires to separate the plastic or the rubber to the copper, for instance. And then the third function is the feeding of other sorting equipment, because with vibration you have you can control the feeding and the flow rate of feeding, and you have a very good as well distribution of material in all of the wheels of the sorting equipment. That's the third function. And the last one is washing and scrubbing. It's used to remove the dirtness and the mud, for instance, for some waste, and especially is used in a subsegment we call C&D, construction and demolition waste recycling. And here you can see the split, our split of the main subsegment of recycling. There are 5 main subsegments for us. The first one is the most known for everybody. That's household recycling. And then there is the metal recycling, the glass recycling, the paper and plastic recycling. And the last one that I would like to focus a bit on that is construction waste recycling. So you can see that it's a complex industrial segment for us, because working with metal is absolutely different with working with glass or paper or plastic. So it requires a lot of knowledge and different know-how from our technicians and engineers. But I would like to focus now a little bit on this 5th subsegment, the construction and demolition waste recycling, coming from the construction. You understand that. And you can see on the screen a typical plant of recycling of construction and demolition waste. On the top of this flow sheet, of this picture of this plant, actually, sorry, the plant can be divided in 2. On the top, you can see the part of the plant which is mainly used to clean and wash and separate the stones, or the similar to stones, I don't know, a part of concrete or this kind of things, this kind of size of material, of big material. And in the bottom of the plant, it's more the plant which process with water, mud, and sand, some smaller particles. And we have a very, very good range of product for the first part of this plant, with screens and to separate by dimension, or washers. And this equipment have been developed in the mineral segment originally, to wash and separate stones, for instance, for the different customer that we have in the mineral industry. So more or less for us, this subsegment of the recycling segment is driven by mineral players. So the players are more or less the same. And nowadays we call that urban mining. So it's another solution for our customer to get some raw materials. So the players are the same, the technology is the same, and I would say the equipment and the range of our product are the same. So you can see the strong link between an historical segment that we had for decades in the group, and this new segment in the recycling. Yeah, that's all for me for today. So I'll let you now, Thomas, about the guidance.
Thank you very much. And as you probably all of you are aware of, then the first half of the year has not been as expected for the SKAKO business. But despite the lower than expected revenue and EBIT in H1, we still expect to reach our guidance. And that is because of the strong order backlog that we have, and also the ramp up of the OCP project. So the guidance maintain, as stated earlier this year, revenue growth between 30 and 40%, and an operating profit before special items on 27 to 31 million Danish kroner. Of course, when we are looking into the first half of the year, then it also means that we need to reach a significant growth and earning in the second half of the year. But going through the budget and the estimate that we have, then we still feel that we are in the range of reaching our guidance. So with that said, then we are ready to take your questions.
That's great, and thank you for the presentation. We have got some questions, so I will get straight into them. We just had a good walkthrough of the recycling part, and we've got a question here that asks if the ramp up of sales personnel in the recycling business, when we can expect that to materialize. We saw that there was a return to growth in Q2, so maybe it's already impacting, but maybe you could add a little detail on the sort of timeline for converting sales activities into active projects, and how you expect this to evolve.
I can get it. Yeah, I would say that what we can say as well is that our current backlog is quite high. It's coming from this first good half year that we have in order intake, and as well from this OCP order that we had last year. For sure, I would say the activity and the order intake end of last year in recycling was not as high as expected. That could explain the average performance that we had beginning of the year. But the first half year was good, better than the first half year of last year in all segments. So we are still quite positive about the rest of the year.
Okay, no, that's great. So I'll move on to the OCP project, where we have a question about the delays that are mentioned in the first half. And it says, do these delays come with any financial impact, or sort of a penalty for OCP or anything like that?
Not at all. It's coming from the administration of Morocco. It's a quite big project, and we had faced some delays coming from administrative issue, but nothing more. And I would say, and Thomas can confirm that the cash part of the project is very good.
That's understood. If we're staying on Morocco, something we saw in the first half is a slight squeeze on the gross margin from a higher share of plant sales versus the after sales. Can we expect that after sales will also be a part of the agreements in Morocco when these plants are up and running?
Yes, we can expect that, but it will not be tomorrow. It's something for the years to come, but not this year.
Okay, great. And maybe you could just add a bit more detail on the margin composition of the pipeline at the moment. The order book is obviously historically very high at the moment. Should we expect that margins will normalize back towards levels where they have been once these projects are back up and running? Or maybe you could just add a little detail to how you see the sort of margin breakdown of the current pipeline.
Of course, if you look into the split between plant and after sales, then of course, due to the fact that the plant sales and driven by the OCP in Morocco has a lower margin than we have on the after sales, then of course also the second half of the year will be impacted by a lower margin than normally, due to the fact that we have higher plant sales.
That's great. And we have a question here So we've seen strong growth in the Morocco part, in the minerals part, and some walk back in the other parts. Has there been a direct link here where more resources are going towards the minerals and that's at the cost of other business units, or is it not related to that and it's individual segment by segment, the different performance?
The performance in the different segments is of course not linked 100% together, but based on the questions that this participant has, then we can say that we have ramped up on the OCP, and the revenue started a little later than the ramp of the capacity cost. So that have of course impacted the result negatively due to the fact that we have not received that much earning on the project in the first half of the year than expected. Then another issue is that we have invested in salespeople in the recycling business, but we also have an overlap between some people who is going on pension and some new employees. So that has also impacted the OPEX in the first half of the year. So we have some pensions that actually will impact the OPEX in the second half of the year.
That's great. And I have a question, not from the audience, but while we're on the different segments, you showed in the fastener part that you have some activities within the defense segment. And we know that defense in Europe has been very topical this year, and with everything in Russia and Ukraine, and now with the Trump administration too. You say it's a smaller part of the business, but is there a larger opportunity within the defense space for SCARCO?
Yes, we can. This is something that we believe. So we are working on developing this business. But for sure, it's a business. What we can say, it's a very secure, and I would say, limited business as well so far for us. It's a bit difficult to enter the business because it's a very limited number of companies which work in this business. It has not been developed a lot in Europe for the last year. So it's something new, but this is something that we want to develop.
That's understood. Great. And then one last question from me. We've seen solid cash flow in the first half of the year, and the debt is falling. Could you add some perspectives on how you're looking at capital allocation? Are we expecting dividends or potentially looking at M&A? And what can shareholders expect from capital allocation moving forward?
The strong cash flow in the first half of the year is mainly driven by those prepayment for the OCP project. So when we have received prepayment, then of course we will also build up this project during the second half of the year. So the positive impact will then actually be limited in the second half of the year as we use some of the prepayments to produce for the OCP projects.
That makes very good sense. Well, we're out of questions and almost out of time, so I'd like to end the presentation there and thank you both, Lionel and Thomas, for another good walkthrough of the results. And I hope to see the people who have listened again soon. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.